To the April the 10th, 2023, the Winston-Salem Forsyth County Utilities Commission. And we do have with us, as far as commissioners are concerned, online, we have Commissioner Hustak, Commissioner Wilson, and Commissioner Younger. So at that being said, I guess we're ready for roll call.
Okay, Chair Wesley Curtis.
Present.
Vice Chair Chris Parker.
Present.
Commissioner Simpson Brown.
Present.
Commissioner Harold Eustache. Commissioner Tom Griffin. Commissioner Yvonne Hines.
Here.
Commissioner Hugh Jernigan.
Here.
Commissioner Dwayne Long.
Here.
Commissioner Calvin McRae. Commissioner Charles Wilson.
Here.
Commissioner Alan Younger.
Present.
Thank you.
Excellent. That being said, thank you everyone. I guess thanks for joining online as well. It's great to kind of be here in this renovated building, a different venue. I guess, and thanks so much for the maps.
Oh, yeah.
The guide, that was kind of very helpful, kind of weaving our way in to the parking lot, right?
Tuck back here.
There you go, tuck back in. Great, good deal. I guess we've got a good meeting presentation today, short agenda items, but we do have some presentations, so Courtney, I'll turn it over.
Okay. All right, thank you. Just a couple of introductions before we get started. So we are in our new meter services division building, which was just recently renovated. And Julian Brooks is right here. He's our interim meter services manager. And so he's responsible for this group. And then we have Derek Strout, who's with administration. He's a project engineer. And then I just also wanted to recognize Mike Corvista, who's with us today from the budget office. Make sure you give him a hard time.
Already gone.
Okay. Well, let me go ahead and share the PowerPoint. We'll get started here. Okay, a couple welcome and announcements, and then we have we'll have an update from our human resources director. He's not here yet, so he might be running late, but if not, we'll just keep going to the agenda items, and then we will go over the capital budget we'll adjourn this meeting and then re-adjourn the finance committee meeting and go over our capital budget. Right now we have 82 departmental vacancies. That's down from last month. I think we were close to 87, so we are making some improvement.
Actual hires or just? Okay.
Yep, actual hires. And we are continuing with the free leaf mulch giveaway. We do that every year. The first 2 dates were this past weekend. It was Friday and Saturday. And then we have 2 more days, April 15th and 22nd. And that is while supplies last. And I think, do we have a lot of people show up? It was raining, I guess.
It was really bad weather on Friday, so not as many as some years.
So I imagine the next 2 Saturdays are probably pretty busy.
Could be.
And then we also sponsor Earth Day. So there's the Earth Day Fair at the fairgrounds on April 22nd. For anybody that's interested, we'll have a booth. And then just a reminder that we will be presenting the operating budget and preliminary rate recommendations at the Finance Committee meeting on April 21st at 10 a.m. A couple of pictures from Forsyth Creek Week. There was a tour at Thomas, and let me see if I can, this might help. Okay. There was a tour at Thomas on March 22nd. It's part of Forsyth Creek Week, and it was really successful. There were several people that came out, as you can see.
Is that the crowd? That's the number?
Yeah, right here. This is the crowd of the people on the tour.
Okay.
Yeah. And then there was a jamboree March 26th. Where was that? Where's Gillen? I don't know where she went.
That was at Salem Lake Marina.
Salem Lake, okay. And then we're starting tours again, which is really exciting for the youth and the kids. So this is a tour that we did at Haynes Mill Road landfill. There was actually 2 tours that week, and these are pictures from the March 29th tour, but the kids are really excited and thought what we did is very fascinating. So it was kind of cool to see.
What's the route they take?
You want to go over the route they take, Jan?
They have a bus. This was Summit School, and they have a bus and go across the old landfill and then up to the working base. They don't get off the bus for safety reasons. They love the big equipment.
Sure. It's good to see where your trash goes.
Oh, yeah. And one thing Jan and I had discussed is to make sure, you know, we're working on that, the new gas, agreement. And one thing we really want to talk about is an education center inside that building, or even maybe something we could do up at the front of the entrance where we're doing all that construction of the front, because we really need to get our kids excited about what we do and educate them. So. And then I wanted to update you on the City of King. I talked about this back in February when we went over our wholesale customers. So the City of King is our second largest sewer customer, and it accounts for a little more than 2% of our treated wastewater flow. King was interested in building their own wastewater treatment plant. However, North Carolina Department of Environmental Quality refused to issue a new discharge permit because they believed that the Clean Water Act prevented them, being DEQ, from issuing new permits into impaired waters that do not have current nutrient limits. So High Rock Lake is an impaired water, and that's where the discharge would be. So King filed a motion for summary judgment against NCDEQ to process their permit. So NPDES stands for National Pollutant Discharge Elimination System Permit. Okay, it's a mouthful. Basically, it's a discharge permit. Okay. From our perspective, our concern was that we would be required, or part of this deal, the requirement would be to transfer flow and pollutant loading allocations from us at our wastewater treatment plant to King's proposed plant, which would effectively reduce our flow allocations in our current permit. And we didn't want to lose any of that. So we communicated that to King via a letter, and then we had several conversations with them. However, where we're at right now, both parties have agreed to act in good faith and negotiate a sewer extension contract. So a 40-year extension is what they're asking for. They were interested in the Davie County sewer agreement that we have with Davie, so that we sent them that, and they're looking for a new rate. So anyway, just to let you know, the understanding is that we would have something worked out in 180 days. So I'll be talking to Mr. Griffin in the Planning and Policy Committee to pull something together. We'll look at the terms. We've got Raftelis, who's our financial consultant, looking at our cost of service to serve them, and then we'll present a rate recommendation to the commission. So this is good. This is really good.
So was their main reason for going through this process was the cost?
Yes. Well, I think, I don't know for sure, but obviously the cost is one thing. They're trying to serve their customers at the best price, best cost that they can. Some of it may have been that they wanted to be in control of their own destiny. You know, they've got their own plan and make those decisions. However, the cost to do that with a system their size is just so expensive.
Yeah, I can't understand why it could even vote to be cost effective.
Yeah.
I mean,
and so that's what a lot of our conversations were that. And I think when they realized that we, had gone through this same process with Davie 5 to 10 years ago and negotiated their rate, they realized, maybe it would be more cost effective just to continue to partner with us, let's negotiate a new rate and go from there.
Good. I'm glad that worked out.
So but is NCDEQ or DEQ still processing a permit, or they required to process a permit? I'm just saying.
No, I think, Bill, why don't you, they've communicated what the plan is with DEQ. And so they have withdrawn their motion, I guess.
Motion with prejudice, I believe, which means that.
Okay.
Without prejudice, sorry, thank you.
I'm sorry.
Which means they can open it up in the future if we can't negotiate.
We don't come to settle terms.
Yeah.
You mentioned our flow capacities. Is there a set number at which we can get to before we got something bad happens?
Yeah,
What
so
is it?
the Muddy Creek plant can treat 21 million gallons a day. Elledge is permitted at 30 million gallons a day. So overall, we have 51 millions, and we do have the ability to send flow from Muddy to Elledge. So we've got some flexibility there, and I think we're using 35-ish. Is that about where we're at with permitted capacity? We do know that we're going to have to upgrade the plants sometime in the near future.
About 10 years.
Yeah. And so that'll be all part of the negotiation. You know, what is, not only is their rate, but, you know, should there be some future costs associated with the upgrades that we need to do? Because they are requesting additional flow too. Right now they're permitted, or our agreement says that they can send us 0.97 MGD. And I think they're asking for, is it 1.3? It was 1.5.
Yeah, it was 1.5, but it's ultimately 3 over 15.
Yeah. So there's a lot of things that we need to look at on our end, like obviously what it costs to serve them, because we don't want to charge them less than that. And then what capital improvements are we going to have to do on our end to meet that need?
We're in the process of updating our collection system master plan, and we've looked at those projections, including King and the output. So we know both scenarios. And it changes our window just by a couple of years. But 2035 is the neighborhood. We will have to have upgrades in place.
Is it profitable for us, or do we just cover our costs?
We get about $1.5 million of revenue from King. So that's an interesting question. I think it's when we have more customers, we're able to do stuff. It's more economical. It's more, so we can spread the more customers we have, the more we can do, because we can spread that cost out for everybody. So yeah, if that answers your question.
Yeah.
That's why a lot of the smaller communities, they have fewer customers, and so their rates are so much higher. They just can't spread that cost out, but to so many people. So ultimately, yes, we want to keep those customers. We want to keep King because we don't want to take a $1.5 million revenue loss.
All right.
Any other questions about that?
Very good. I'm glad it got worked out.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yes, we feel really good about it. And then before I turn it over to Marcus, I'll let Stover kind of go over this.
Good afternoon, everybody. Courtney, she mentioned we were sitting in the renovated meter shop building, which is down here. This campus, it houses UFO field operations. This is the admin building, field operations. Central warehouse is right here. You passed it coming in. There's several buildings in the back. This is our dry storage spot. This is where we house cold patch, stone, sand, that type of thing for repairs. This is our maintenance shop. This is where we house the combo trucks that you saw earlier. We have a maintenance building where we work on small engines and small equipment. We have fuel pumps in the back, and we have storage lockers for all of our crew trucks as well. And the big gravel parking lot right behind is where we park our dump trucks and our trailers. Any questions on any of that?
Just talk about this building.
Yeah, that's the field operations admin building. That's where the supervisors and front office staff and all of the admin support folks live.
What about the very center at the very top?
Center top.
Right, keep going right there.
That is a private concrete plant. That's kind of right behind us.
So is there ever a need to have to expand or grow, or we kind of hemmed in, or is it set?
As far as acreage, I think we're in pretty good shape. There is a need for more office space in the field operations admin building. We'll talk through that a little bit more during the capital presentation.
So this is all utilities?
Yep.
Yeah, the central warehouse is shared by other departments for the city, but everything this way and down the street is all us.
We have a warehouse at Manson Meads for water and wastewater treatment. So a lot of our pumps and things of that nature there. But this central warehouse has anything for police officers, fire department, I think, pretty much every other department.
Yeah.
And then we have, you get safety equipment, vests, gloves, hard hats, stuff like that.
And then right behind it is the warehouse storage where you get pipe and manholes and fire hydrants, all that good stuff.
Okay, all right, well, I want to introduce to you Marcus Barnett. He's our Human Resources Director. And he is going to just update the commission on things that his department is doing as far as recruitment and retention of employees. Yeah, let me bring that for you.
How you doing, Mr. Younger? So good afternoon, everyone. As Courtney mentioned, my name is Marcus Barnett. I'm the city's HR director. I've been here September 27th will make 3 years that I've been here. And so I got here kind of dead smack in the middle of the pandemic, kind of inherited some issues that we've been working through. Courtney asked me to just come by and kind of talk through some of the things that we've been doing. As you all, I'm sure, are aware, we've got a lot of vacancies across the organization. I checked the vacancy report just before I got here today, and I think utilities right now has 86 vacancies.
Oh, it went back up. I told him 82 earlier.
Yeah, with an average, but see, here's what has me not as concerned is that the average vacancy days is 267. So what that means is that we are hiring people and they are staying. But those vacancies that we have, those lasting vacancies, it's just positions that we haven't been able to fill, which means we don't have a lot of turnover right now. And when we talk about 267 days ago, we're talking about a time when we were, again, still in the thick of the pandemic, in a very different labor force than what we have now. So that gives us some hope, because where we are right now, our workforce, much like many other folks' workforces, we are rounding that corner. We are starting to see where the number of applications for each position we're getting is slowly starting to tick up. During the height of the pandemic, we saw a lot of private employers throwing things at employees to get them. And we just knew those were things as a municipal employer we couldn't really compete with. So we kind of just had to, for lack of better terminology, stay the course and wait for that pendulum to swing back in our direction. And that's kind of where we are now. But in that time while we were waiting, we were also enhancing ourselves as an employer. We were figuring out what are those things that we can do as an employer to not just retain the employees we do have, but to attract new employees. So in the past, probably year and a half to 2 years, we have really picked up the number of job fairs that we're going to do. We are doing now what we call active recruitment. I think the city used to be in a place where if we had a vacancy, we could post the job and applicants would pour into the system, right? And we were on the receiving end saying, wow, that we are having difficulty making it through all these applications. Well, now it's a different ballgame. And so in that time, what we've been able to do is to use our applicant tracking system a little bit better. And we're able to get into that system and really figure out what should we be looking for on the applicant side before those applications are ever making it through to the department, so that the department doesn't have to sit and wade through tons of unqualified applications. So that's one thing we've done on the applicant side. To help us kind of streamline that process, what we've also started to do as an organization is to rethink what some of those qualifications are for those openings, specifically for those positions that have those license requirements. We've been looking a lot at, does this position actually require a commercial driver's license? If it does not require a commercial driver's license, how can we change that classification so that we can hire someone? If it does require a commercial driver's license, what can we do to hire someone into that role to upskill them? So we just got approval and we're working with the city manager's office, and we've had the money identified for us to actually run a commercial driver's license training program for city employees. So what that'll allow us to do is to upskill our current workforce. So some of those folks who are in maybe those light equipment operator positions that don't require a CDL, we'll be able to get them upskilled to get that commercial driver's license. So now they can operate equipment that moves into that medium or to that heavy category. It also allows us to hire people who do not have those qualifications and upskill them as well. And that'll particularly help in utilities, as I'm saying, because I think there's about 21 medium equipment operator vacancies right now. And that medium equipment operator, we did some reclassifications in the past couple years because we looked at those folks that were in those light categories and we said, well, we think there's a higher need in our organization for people in that medium equipment operator position, in that category where you're not going to just be operating a vehicle, you're actually going to be operating machinery. And so we kind of made that switch. And so now what we're saying, again, starting to round that corner to be able to get people who are qualified, not just to operate a commercial vehicle, but who can actually operate equipment, because that's what we run into a lot. So I'll stop there before I move forward and just ask, are there any questions on any of those pieces we've done so far?
Yeah, Marcus, tell me, as you were talking about advertising for job openings, how do you post those? What type of platforms? Online?
So all of our jobs first are posted onto our applicant tracking system, which we use NeoGov. NeoGov is a standard kind of government job board that just about every municipality, large municipality in the state of North Carolina uses. Once we get the position onto NeoGov, which is where we're tracking and getting the applicants, then we're putting it out to some of those more specialized places. We're working a lot with the North Carolina Division of Employment Security. So getting position out there through what they call NC Works. We are getting in front of candidates at job fairs out in the community. I think just in the past, just since this year has come in, my team's already been to 18 job fairs in just the past, that's almost 3.5 months.
And how's the response been?
It's been positive. I think where a lot of people are at this point is, I want a job, but I didn't realize that the city had all of these jobs that I could do. There's a lot of misconception. I think at one point somebody was like, oh, I thought, all the city jobs were bus driver jobs, right? And so just breaking that down and letting people know we have a good partnership with the Winston-Salem Transit Authority, but we actually do not operate the buses. And so letting people know this is who we are, this is what we do as an organization. So it's been fairly positive. And like I said, we've started to see that number of applicants really tick up.
So online tools like Indeed or things like that, that's more for private employers?
So Indeed is a very interesting beast because Indeed will pull your job. So it'll just randomly see it. It'll pull your job and they'll say, oh, hey, we have 46 applicants for your job. Pay us $3,000 if you want to see all 46 of these jobs or all 46 of these applicants. And we've actually done that before, right? There have been times where we say, let's see what we can get from there. And with about 80% certainty, every person that had applied on Indeed had already applied in our applicant tracking system. But we are using other places, right? So we're getting out to some of the other job boards that are out there. Like I said, we have kind of used Indeed. Depending on where we're looking for the person, we're getting into some of our rec centers and actually physically taking paper and posting job announcements up. Some of our positions, so we're still posting in print format. So we're posting some of our positions in the Chronicle, in KPASA, in the Winston-Salem Journal. We've spread a wide net. We've even posted some positions in local newspapers outside of Winston-Salem. So really just trying to extend our reach. One thing that we were proud of that we did last year that we'll be restarting this spring, we actually put ads onto gas pumps. So if you've ever been out and pumping your gas at Quality Oil and you see those ads come up, we actually ran an ad and we did a QR code and we could do a QR tracker. We got 7,000 hits just off of that QR tracker when we advertised with Quality Oil. And so finding those innovative ways for us to get out there, we're working right now on a bus wrap for with Winston-Salem Transit Authority. Had conversations with Donna about the possibility of getting a bus wrap to put one of those QR codes there. So we're trying everything we can to get our name out in front of as many applicants as possible.
But you're seeing the job market is getting better for employers.
Absolutely, because it's getting better specifically for municipal employers, or not just municipal, but public employers. because a lot of those things that some of those private entities offered, we knew they weren't sustainable, but candidates didn't know that. And so now, you see your Google, for example, Google, Amazon, these juggernauts, they're doing layoffs. So a lot of people who got these home-based jobs, now they don't have those home-based jobs that they thought they were all but guaranteed. And so people are re-entering the workforce because I don't know if you all saw it, there were all these articles, where are all the workers going? Right? People just left the workforce, but didn't really leave the workforce. They may have left North Carolina's workforce, right? Because they stopped working in a company that paid North Carolina payroll taxes. If they were working in a company that was, say, paying Texas payroll taxes or, Indiana payroll taxes. So it looked like they left the North Carolina job market, but they were still here. And so as we start to see, they're doing those mass layoffs or work from home just isn't what people thought it was. Now people are re-entering the workforce here, and we're starting to see, the number of jobless claims has started to go back up. But in addition to that, we're also seeing more people re-entering the workforce here in the state.
Okay, one more question.
Sure.
So Marcus, you mentioned the challenge, especially utilities, of us getting like CDL drivers. So what is the impact of the city taking back over recycling?
So I don't really think it was necessarily an impact at all, because for all of those folks, they were hired separately. We didn't dip into any existing pool of employees, but the other part of it is that they drive those trucks and technically they are operating machinery, but they are not equipment operators in the way that a lot of the folks in utilities are. When we talk about machine operation in utility, we're talking about machines that dig into the ground and are operating through, very small orifices to get to something very specific versus somebody that's driving a surface truck. And so I think those were 13 positions, if I'm not mistaken, and we were able to fill each of those relatively quickly. But I would say, and Mr. King, let me know if I'm wrong, but I don't think we had much of an impact on the existing workforce there.
I'd have to look at the numbers. I know there's probably a couple from TFO that probably took some of those positions. I don't know the exact number, but you're probably right on that, Marcus.
My pleasure.
How are we doing about recruiting the engineers? We got engineer guys.
We have.
Oh,
That's a struggle.
it's
The
so
struggle
hard.
still hadn't changed.
It has not changed. And I mean, we've done, last year, we took a team down to Georgia Tech and we recruited engineers coming straight out of school, didn't get a single one. This one's not I don't know that it's a money issue. I don't know that it's a creativity issue. Because at this point, we've thrown money at it. We've thrown kind of all the resources that really needed to be there. We've worked with executive search firms. I think what it comes down to is we cannot afford what engineers are being paid in the private sector. For even a senior engineer here, we'd be pushing it to get them to 100,000. But you've got folks that are coming out with just a bachelor's degree, bachelor's degree in civil engineering, and they're getting job offers 120, north of 130.
Close your ears there.
And so I think that's I think a part of our difficulty, because we've got to look at when we're bringing people in, what parity is there in our current pay plan? And so I'm glad you brought that up. One of the big things that we'll be working on this coming year is a comprehensive class and comp study for the entire organization. What that's going to allow for us to do is to really figure out, how does our pay plan compare? I have suspicions, but I'm pretty sure we don't compare well to the outside market. And so it's going to give us a more realistic picture of where we are in the market. And hopefully we'll get some tools and some resources for how we can catch up to the market. But it'll also let us know where we need to position ourselves, even if it takes us a few years for us to get closer to that number.
And I think government employees, public employees do tend to make less than, we can't compete with private salaries. But I think what we need to try to promote more is the stability of our jobs, the great work life, and the benefits and the great work-life balance. I mean, you don't get that as much, or you can't, you could sacrifice that when you go into the private sector. So I think it's, we need to really brag on ourselves more. You know?
And some of the things that we want to brag on as an employer, they don't necessarily always make the biggest impact, right? Like we want to brag about the fact that we still offer a pension or that we offer a fully funded 401A up to 2% of a person's salary, right? That's just free money going into a retirement savings account for you. Some people don't care about that stuff. I think it's difficult for somebody between ages, 25 and 35 to think 20 years down the road when they can't pay the rent today, right? When the average rent in the area has gone up and there's now a comma in it. And so
when you're 25, 35 years old, you still consider yourself immortal.
Yeah.
that's true. That is very true. And so we're looking for ways to touch all of those things. One of the things we considered this year was making all of our employees a $0 premium on their health insurance. Even with the $0 premium, our plan does not necessarily support the fact that would be a good idea for our organization, only because the people who are most engaged in our plan, because our average age is about 42 years old, and those people are extremely engaged in their healthcare plan. And, but between themselves and their dependents, they engage with the plan. And so when we look at what those things are, it's got to be supported. And I tell my staff all the time, we run a people-centered, data-driven department. We are centered on people. That is where we see our results, but we have to be driven by the data, the numbers that take us in all those different directions. And so we're taking a almost scholarly approach to trying to address some of these issues that we're encountering. And so to that end, some of the things we've done on the retention side, right, to make it and to make people want to stay here, right? We have upfit our benefits plan. We now offer a vision plan, which we didn't previously offer. There are certain life-saving screenings that we cover at 100%, no matter what age a person is. We are staying away from things like requiring a spousal surcharge. There are a lot of employers that say, well, if your spouse can get coverage elsewhere and they're on our plan, we're going to charge them $150 extra a month. We're staying away from things like that. Our medical plan does not have what's called stop loss coverage. Stop loss coverage means essentially we're going to cap your benefit every year at, say, $500,000. So if somebody has a major life-altering episode, if they enter end-stage renal disease, or if they have a heart attack, those claims are going to skyrocket. And on a lot of plans, they're going to cap you out at $250 or $500. We don't have that. And so we're trying to find a way to strategically weave that into our discussions as we're talking to candidates and as we're talking to our employees, about when they're leaving. And so when my staff sits down and they talk to people in exit interviews, and they say, oh, the benefits are better. Well, talk to us about it. Do you have the benefits package? Let's sit down and look through it. Okay, well, I see that your weekly or your biweekly premium will be $20 less than ours is, but also the benefit is less than ours. Well, what do you mean? Well, if you're on that plan, you're going to pay more when you go to seek treatment. And, so those types of things, trying to educate our employees, whether they're on their way out the door or on their way in the door. Because at the end of the day, what we want to do, everybody's going to lead this organization one way or another. What we want to do is to turn everybody into walking, talking billboards for the city whenever they leave. Any other questions? Are there any concerns that you all feel?
We have a very difficult job.
But it's fun.
Well, and I say that because not only dealing with people, but just a different mindset of people, especially young people coming out of school, what you're looking for traditionally, and sometimes it's not the things we think we're thinking here that you need to be thinking about, but somehow you got to recruit them. At some point, some are crazy about money, others money doesn't mean a thing. Some love benefit, other people benefits don't mean a thing. So, and then you got people that just say, I'll go anywhere and just try something that could be something that's totally not engineering. So right out of school. So it's a really tough market out there trying to capture those people with the niche of what we do in utilities, but that niche too, are going to get those people engaged. So it's a difficult.
But it's fun. We show up every day, we keep doing it, and, and staff has heard me say this, we just did an employee listening tour where we got in front of them, and I had the pleasure to be down here and talk to a lot of the folks in the operation down here. And I tell people, when we write policy, we do it based on what's gonna make the greatest good for the greatest number of people. Is it gonna hit everybody? No. Is somebody going to find a way to weasel their way into something that they otherwise wouldn't have gotten? Probably. But at the end of the day, if 95% of our employees reap a positive benefit out of a program, offering, or policy, then we've done what we were called to do here.
How do we compete against the surrounding municipalities?
Well, for one, we have to have a point of contact with my peers in some of our other municipalities, our neighboring municipalities, at least once a week. And the reason that's important is because things move rapidly. And, and the amount of times it's almost become a game between us when we're on the phone and they're like, oh yeah, I just looked over my new hire report. I see I got 3 of yours. I'm like, yeah, well, I got 6 of yours. So, and we say that in jest, but that's what we're doing. We are literally shuffling employees around. I myself have been shuffled. I worked here, I left and went to the city of High Point, I came back here. And that's, a lot of people have that same story. And so what we want to do is to make sure we position ourselves. A big part of what we do on the salary study is to make sure that we're competitive. And it's hard to compete with. It just is. I know everybody doesn't share that opinion, but it's difficult for us to compete with Greensboro or even a High Point who owns their own electric company. People are always like, how is High Point paying their people so much better? Well, they own the electric company. So it just gets really difficult. And so to answer your question more pointedly, how do we compete? We stay in the conversation. And the city council permitted us last year, we were able to change our retention incentive. And so now for our employees who present us with offers from outside organizations, we are able to match those offers, and in the most extreme circumstances, the city managers offer us to go up to 10% over a stated offer from another organization. And so that's been a very helpful tool in allowing us to keep some of those folks who maybe had one foot out the door. And it's also very helpful, right? Like, I think when an employee sees that we were willing to go to bat for them and we were willing to come back and say, not only are we going to match, but we're going to give you 5%, 10% more than what that other organization is offering you, it sends a strong message to that employee. And I do think that they are more engaged when they stick around.
As far as number of vacancies, we're kind of competitive with everybody else.
We're lower than some of our peers. So if we control for police and fire, which is a whole other beast. So if we control for police and fire, we're really sitting at a vacancy rate of about 18%, which pre-pandemic we were at about 13%. And so we've seen about just about a 5% increase. I know it sounds awful, right? The idea is usually to be somewhere around the 3 to 4% range. But like I said, I think we're constantly chipping away at that number, and we're constantly getting closer and closer to being fully staffed. Thank you all for what you do.
Thank you, man. We certainly appreciate it.
Oh, yes. He is on sleep.
Put it on the floor. I've gotten in trouble there.
I'm not sure. Trying to get out. Okay.
Is the sound okay?
Y'all here?
Y'all hear?
It's kind of buzzy for me, but I don't know if that's just my speakers. It's not just you, it happened
Okay.
in the last 10 minutes or so.
Right.
All right. Can y'all see the screen?
Picture that.
Can y'all hear me? Is there a remote TV where we turn the volume? I need to check with my TV. I just wanted to show this picture because we had a supervisors meeting and we did a team building exercise where we did a scavenger hunt. We had to solve riddles. And this was our winning team. Candy Bella.
Thank you, Miss Anne.
He's super excited, you could tell.
Yeah, I love this picture.
Yeah, is the volume better now?
I'm looking at the bottom, might see if the volume scale all the way up. Right there.
Who kept score?
Yeah.
Ben.
Bring it down a little. Bring it down? Yeah, if it's over.
That's the Zoom.
All right, let's see. I need somebody to tell me if you can still see the share. Yes? Yes, okay. Okay, so we'll get into the agenda items real quick. The first one is approval of meeting minutes from the March 13th meeting. And then.
I'll take it. Item 2 is consideration of a resolution authorizing the execution of various agreements regarding proposed water and sewer improvements to be installed within various developments. There's 3 different developments, totaling $393,050 for water, $1,292,560 for sewer. Any questions on item 2? Item 3 is the big one. This is AMI task order 3. We have some slides we're going to go through real quick, and we're going to pass around some goodies. So we shared this slide last month. This one in the map. We're going to present this every month from here on out. So far, we've installed almost 24,000 meters out of 135,000. There's almost 112 left to be installed. Initial deployment. So in June of 2020, right during the pandemic, the Master Service and Products Agreement came across this board for approval, along with the alpha and beta of initial deployment. That was in June, I think June 8, 2020. Alpha and beta were about 10,000 meters. That work is complete, been tested, everything's working properly. Gamma was approved, task order 2, June or July of 2021. That was an additional 34,500 meters. And that one's currently underway, expected to be completed this fall. Full deployment, which is on your agenda, item 3, is another 90,000. It's the remaining bunch of meters, 90,000 meters. And it's expected to start this fall after GAM is complete and run in through, I think, it's going to be completed by 2026, like December 2025, I believe.
How long did it take us to get to 24? I mean, how long did it take them to actually put it in?
24,006, I guess June 2020. Yeah, well, and it's been very slow because the alpha and beta were the pilot stages, so we had to kind of work through some kinks and get the processes ironed out. We've had some supply chain issues. COVID did not help with the chip shortages and all those good things. These digital meters, they require things that the old analog meters never required. So there's been some chip shortages.
Towers, cell towers.
The towers?
Yeah, do we have contracts for all those?
We do. They're all signed, and in fact, the network is up and running, and we'll get to that here in a second. But the network is fully certified. It is functional, and probably this month we've already started testing some of the 24,000 meters that we have. They're going to start communicating via that network. So right now, maybe advance one slide if you don't mind. Let me get through this one, and then I'll answer the question. So for some of the newer members, this is just kind of the overall process. You have a digital meter. So this is a 3/4 inch or 5/8 inch iPearl. This is your standard meter you receive your residents. And it communicates via network from, on several different towers. I think there's 20 towers, is that right? 14 or 20 towers. Which communicates back to our office in Bartow Stewart. And then we have the ability to do the water side and portal, the customer portal, to view information, consumption data, leak, real-time leaks, that type of thing, at any given time, versus every 2 months we'll go out and renew. And then at some point, probably spring of 2024, the customer portal will be activated, and the actual customer can go into that customer portal and view that same information. So I'm going to pass these around real quick. They were analog meters. They were just they're brass, right? Brass. Yep. These are plastic. I'm going to pass this around. This is your normal meter you would see at your house. This other meter, this is an ally meter. So you're going to hear about remote shut off, pressure monitoring here in a minute. This meter is like 4 times as costly as that one, but it gives you the ability, if needed, to shut off remotely. It also monitors pressure in the distribution system. So there's going to be, I think, originally we talked about like 10,000 of these scattered throughout the system to, keep an eye on the pressure. And due to the cost, we're scaling that back to like 5,000 meters. We think 5,000 is, plenty. So we're working through the census to identify those locations. Well, where is this actually installed? That is not installing the house. That is installing the meter box out front. That's what we want. Okay, that's so it's in the meter box out front. Correct. And the only thing you will see is the cast iron lid, and you'll see this black plastic disc. So this is the endpoint, or otherwise called the smart point. This is what transmits the consumption data from that meter to the network. And this gets installed through the meter lid. This right here just tightens it up. And the back side of that cable connects in here. Pass that around. And then Julian and his group, they take this Archer handheld device and this command link. This is how they activate those meters. So really as recently as a couple of years ago, you go out there, you pop one meter off, and screw another one in, and you're back in business. Now everything's electronic. So, whereas it took maybe 5 minutes to swap out a meter, you can swap out the meter in 5 minutes, but now you have to activate it and make sure that everything's talking to it.
This is what you see on your meter box.
Correct. That'll set flush for your meter lid.
So over this 3-year time period, have they gone up on the cost of these devices?
There's been a 3% escalation that we worked through. There's also been, I'm glad you asked that. If you guys remember, when this program took place, there was 130,000 connections. So now there's 135,757 connections.
And they're giving us the same price?
Well, I think effective with task force with this one, we went up 3% with, we agreed to a 3% cost escalation for the material, but it hasn't went up.
Material for the plastic, for what?
Everything, the electronics, there's chips in there, everything's went up.
How much did that translate to customer costs?
0%.
Really?
So how do you determine who gets this kind of meter?
The ally meter,
The one that's the 4 times the cost.
so
We can monitor.
that is going to be scattered. We have made the decision not to pursue remote cutoff. We don't want to discriminate against any particular set of customers. But what we do see value in is the ability to monitor the distribution system. So since this is working through a pressure study, so basically they're going to take our distribution system model, our GIS layer, and they're going to say, we got 5,000 meters. Where does it make the most sense efficiently to spread those meters out? And we won't look at any other data sets. We won't look at billing, nothing like that. And we'll install those meters in those locations.
I'll volunteer.
Be sure to pay your bill.
Actually, I've seen since Tom's not here. Maybe
let me keep running through this. I know we got a long meeting with the capital project stuff. So box conformance, we were estimating about a 20% conformance rate to begin with. We're actually seeing closer to 40%. So what that means when we get out there, the distribution system stuff, it's just in worse shape than we anticipated. You know, a lot of these connections have been in the ground for decades and we've never touched. They're galvanized, the boxes, you know, either are too deep or too shallow or covered up. The lids don't fit, the connection's too high. So you can imagine when you put this meter in the box.
Wait a minute, Mike, you said that they're covered up.
Some of them are covered up.
Well, how were they getting their meters read?
Well, we had a couple of cycles in AMR, the old Mueller meters. So there were a couple of cycles that had AMR meters that we drove by and got a read that never went fully to AMI. So the issue with that is, you know, if you don't go out there every 2 months and read them, people plant flowers and, you know, put mulch out and things happen. But you can imagine when you know, go to put this in the ground and this has to connect here and, you know, takes up a lot of space. So if the connection's too high in the box, this won't fit. So we're having to go back and, you know, fund the service line renewal contract through the capital projects group and renew some of these connections. And it really dovetails nicely with lead and copper. If we go out there and we find a lead connection or a galvanized connection, we go ahead and knock it out immediately. So really the message here is, you know, this started off as a meter replacement program, but it's kind of blossomed to, you know, more of a distribution system program. So keep going, Courtney.
I'm just, well, keep going.
Okay. Some key bullet points for item 3, negotiated cost $25,181,785. Covers the remaining 90,000 water meters, endpoints, and the installation of those devices. Covers rehabilitating certain distribution system related infrastructure, replacing meter lids, that type of thing. And then going back to your question, the census contract guarantees a 99% success rate, read rate. So right now, in the first cycle we've done, it's at 97%. So there's like 300 meters that we think, you know, these didn't get through the lid for some reason. Or maybe they're not configured correctly, and Julian's group's working through that now. So we greatly feel like that 99% is going to be perfectly fine. We just need to go back and make sure those 3% are properly connected.
These companies in the time since we started this, they probably have made upgrades to these. Are they coming back and giving us retros?
Are you aware of upgrade meters?
No upgrades. We still have the inventory of, we have the inventory of Concord, then we have our own inventory and keep another meter. We have, I want to say, what, about 30,000 meters?
I think so.
Between the two buildings.
And these meters, we're getting right now about 1,500 meters a month. We love to have more to compress that schedule, but
I got to tell you, when you asked him that, you were looking at me and thought I need this. I realized it right.
Sorry, Mr. You're an intelligent man. I'm figuring.
So Mike, I've got my lawnmower, it's kind of heavy, it runs over and cracks this. Who is responsible?
Not Mr. Long, the guy right behind you.
So as soon as you crack it,
Thank you for that.
it'll stop talking to the system. Once it stops talking to the system, it'll send an email, because we'll send it when we get the email. Once we get the email, see it's not reading, we'll call it the stale meter. Once we get the stale meter report, we send somebody out, within 2 to 3 days, it's fixed.
So I'm not gonna get a little fine for having a heavy lawnmower?
No. We'll make sure that the box is low enough where the lawnmower shouldn't hit the top of it. So that's part of that box performance.
We will be working through policies because this will change the way we do business, right? You know, from a billing, customer service, meter shop perspective. And part of that will be, you know, tampering with the meters. If they go in there and try to, you know, deliberately vandalize this stuff, there will be a monetary fine, or we'll shut your water off. So,
Is there concern about the plastic being damaged? I mean, easily damaged?
No, all this will be protected by the cast iron meter lid. The only thing that's exposed is this. But you know, we're not gonna penalize somebody for an accident. You know, we've never done that.
And the lawnmower should actually hit the cast iron lid before it hit the mushroom top.
We want to make sure we damage your lawnmower, not this.
Well, that is neat, though. It shows up as a missing device, and then you know to go and check on that.
Well, and there's so many benefits to this program. It's not funny. If somebody goes out there and unplugs this, you know, because they're going to try to get by with not paying, we know about it instantly. We go out there. If you go on vacation for 2 weeks and you get a leak in your house, we know about it. We can go out there and stop it. Versus, you know, you go out of town and we might not know about it until you get back. So we think there's some really good benefits. Go to the next slide, if you don't mind. Here's just some other bullet points that were in the item. Census analytics software, that's just what billing customer service will be using. The Water Smart customer portal, the pressure monitor that we talked about, and then from now to the end of the program is about 2.5 more years.
Now, I'm having another moment. That device that Wesley and Tom are gonna get at their house. What's the security on that? I mean, I could just see there's some really devious people out there that would like to all of a sudden shut off 5,000 boxes at once. What's the security on that?
Well, we're working through there's a couple of different options. We have the ability, not that we're going to do it, we have the ability to fully encrypt all these meters. There's some operational impacts of doing that. It makes it much more labor intensive. They actually have to, Julian's group has to call in and get an encryption key before they go out there and change anything. So we're currently working through that. There's one scenario where you do a hybrid approach where you, instead of encrypting everything, you only encrypt the analog meters, the ones that they could actually turn off. They can't really do anything on these other than see how much water you've used.
Did it vandalize it, though, put you out of business?
No.
Well, if they did and it stops reading, then we automatically know to go out there and check on it. You know, that's the good thing about it.
Yeah.
There's, I mean, I guess to Chris's point, Commissioner Parker's point, can you, if you get the meter, is the resale value of something that, is there a resale value?
Oh, like that, they would want to fill it.
I don't know. I'm gonna get on Marketplace tonight, see if we can get some more meters. Maybe we'll get a deal.
Oh, this is.
Yeah, that's an interesting question, but I don't think that's really an issue.
Okay.
We haven't heard about it being an issue for other utilities.
No, I mean, they're utility-owned devices. So if, you know, you would be silly to try to post something like that on, you know, online and sell. It's just like, you know, if they pulled a brass meter out and took it to the Omni source or something, we would know about it.
Well, are we doing that? Are we selling the old brass out of these things?
Yep. We get credits. So Concord is a subcontractor to the census. So everything they take out, we get paid back for that brass.
Good.
Yep. And then here's the map. The blue is meter only. So that is just this or this. That does not include this yet. Purple is a complete installation. So that is everything. And then the black stars, which I count them, there's 25 of them. Those are your towers. That's where the network is comprised of. Any other questions for item 3?
And those towers provide full coverage for all of our areas.
Yep.
Our original budget was like 55 million. Is that right? Or did you go higher?
It's 50 million.
50 million each.
And we haven't had that.
And
Get close.
Do we have any issues with getting tower coverage?
Not yet. And you know, part of that will be as we keep spreading out and getting through, you know, the entire system. You know, if they have to go back and, you know, find, you know, another tower or something, that's on them. They are contractually obligated to provide coverage at 99% read rate.
So what happens if the tower goes out?
The tower goes out.
I guess that doesn't really impact any water service. It's
And the good thing about the way, you know, the network as a service is, like, for 20 years, it's on census to make sure that network works instead of our folks in-house trying to make it work. All right, item 4. consideration of a resolution awarding contract for Sprague Street Neighborhood Sewer Rehabilitation Project. This area was identified through a condition assessment performed as part of the collection improvement program. City County Purchasing publicly advertised this. Bids were scheduled to be received on March 14th, but fewer than 3 bids were offered. NC General Statute 143-132A. It basically says you have to re-advertise it for another 7 days, which we did. We did receive one bidder at that next bid opening. It's KRG Utilities out of Kernersville. Their total bid was $6,203,450, which was about $200,000 lower than the engineer's estimate. They agreed to 5% minority-owned business and 5% women-owned business goals. We've used KRG actually for every rehab project through the CCIP program. They do great work. They're local. We got good relationships with them. Don't really have any doubt that they'll do another good job on this one. Any questions on item 4? Not yet. They're getting close now.
Item 5 is a resolution of requesting approval of revisions to the solid waste policy resolution. So these revisions are intended to remove outdated references, clarify our authority, and align the document with current operational practices. We're not proposing any significant changes to service levels or operational practices with these changes. The Planning and Policy Committee did meet on March 20th. Many of you were there to discuss things, and we incorporated input we received from the members at that time. Staff recommends approval of these revisions.
Did we keep that backup that you were talking about?
We did leave that in.
Well, it's a good conversation at the committee meeting. Very good conversation. All right, very good. That's the, we have the list of agenda items for approval today. I'd like to, if there are no more questions, I'd like to receive it as a motion for approval by.
Move approval for items 2 through
1 through
5.
25.
Second.
Consensus. Okay. We've got a motion and a second. I guess roll call.
Commissioner Brown,
Approved.
Commissioner Eustache,
It's on there.
Commissioner Eustache, Commissioner Griffin, Commissioner Hines,
Yes.
Commissioner Jernigan.
Yes.
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 Thank you. Commissioner McRae,
Yes.
Commissioner Parker,
Yes.
Commissioner Wilson,
Yes.
Commissioner Younger.
Yes.
Oh, I think Carol said.
Yeah,
You did.
you just kind of work.
Okay, good. I guess everybody's presence is unanimous, so those items 1 through 5 are approved. Next item on our, I guess it's a good.
Yes, we need to adjourn the regular meeting and then
Okay, then,
call the meeting, the finance committee meeting to order.
Anybody need a bathroom break?
all right, so, yeah, so we'll just go ahead. So I'll entertain a motion for adjournment. then.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Roll call.
Commissioner Brown,
Yes.
Commissioner Eustache, Commissioner Griffin, Commissioner Hines,
Yes.
Commissioner Jernigan,
Yes.
Commissioner Long,
Yes.
Commissioner McRae,
Yes.
Yes.
Commissioner Wilson,
Yes.
Commissioner Younger.
Yes.
Good. That looks like that was unanimous, so we are adjourned.
And so we'll, what are we gonna just take